Welcome to Remembering Your Oneness with Zane Daniel and Monica Kupiec, where we know everything, and so do you. Hello.
Aloha, aloha.
We know everything, and so do they.
And so do you.
Yeah, and by they, I mean all the people that are watching. There's hundreds of thousands of people that are watching us right now, and we wanted to say they know everything. Yeah. Last week 20, this week hundreds of thousands. Yeah. It's just because of that one TikTok video, right? That's all it takes.
I should have dressed up a little bit better, for these 100,000 people.
Yeah. You look pretty shabby. I think that would have been a good idea.
I took a shower though, so at least
right.
One
they
thing.
can't smell you now. That is a good thing. So yeah. So actually, well, we do have some people. So say hello to us. We say hello to you. People who are watching, let us know where you are. Let us know what you're struggling with, what you're dealing with. Today is going to be a negative entity attachment discussion. So if you've got that, or if you've had that, then we'd love for people to participate. And yes, hello, Anne Marie, and of course Jaybird, who is a people. It's wonderful to see you both.
Well, she could just say I am, I am one, because that would mean I am people as well.
Right. I am the one of.
She could just say I am.
You got. She was listening to it on hers. Yeah. So that's probably. So anyway. So did you watch the video that I released today, Monica?
I did watch. Thank you for the reminder. It was actually pretty funny. I was like getting pulled in. I was like, is he for real? Like, I'm about to go to a department store and get this like beautiful shade of green and then paint those words on any wall. And then like I could kind of feel I could kind of feel that you were up to something while you were saying all of that. And I was like, haha, he's clever.
Yeah. So the video that I just released today starts off with, okay, if you want to get rid of negative entity attachments for life, forever, for good, this is the approach that you need to take. You're going to go to a hardware store, you're going to go to a paint store, and you're going to get this one specific sea green color, and you're going to paint in big letters, booga booga, bunny bunny, on any wall in your house, and you will never be attacked by negative entity attachments again. So that, and then I said something like, let's talk more about that. And then, of course, I revealed that, no.
Cue the intro, cue the suspense. Like, I want to watch more. I want to know more.
Right. Yeah, I don't usually use that formula too much. But on this one, because what people experience is advice from light workers and others that say, put salt on your windows or use crystals in your house to ward off, or, I don't know. There's all kinds of different suggestions like that, or even like go to an exorcist. And that's where it really gets muddy, because some of those things do work. But what's the common denominator is that the person believes that they will work. So if you believed that painting booga booga bunny bunny on your wall in sea green paint, if you believe that would work, then it will, because that's how powerful you are as an individual. So that's the whole thing going on with that. Okay, so Susanna wants us to talk about pendulums and energy, and can you get negative energy on a pendulum disguised as something else? Or maybe you meant negative entity. But either way, so the first thing I want to say to Susanna is, it's not about the object. It's not about the pendulum. It's not even about the approach that you take to interact with the spirit world, because a pendulum is essentially opening a gate or a channel to receive information from the spirit world. It can come through an ayahuasca experience. It can come through a Reiki attunement. It can come through all kinds of different things whatever opens your channel to the spirit world. Now it's all about what's your frequency at the moment that you open that that portal. It could be if your frequency is high, you love yourself unconditionally, you love the world, you understand that everything is exactly as it should be. Then most of the time you're going to get very high vibrational contact. You're going to get the ascended masters or a collective or angels or whatever. But if you are really struggling, you're really suffering with depression or childhood traumas, or you're in an abusive relationship, whatever it might be, on, then your frequency is going to be lower. So when you open that channel, whether it be through a pendulum or those other methods that I suggested, then you're probably going to have some sort of interaction with a vibrational match, and it probably will be a lower frequency entity and could end up becoming an attachment. So it's more about you than it is about the object or the approach that you take, Susanna. I have used a pendulum many times, and I've never had any trouble with any negative energies or entities, but my frequency was at a high level when I did it. So I don't know if I've totally answered your question. And if I haven't, please go ahead and ask me again, or more of a more specific question. I'd be happy to answer it.
Well, I also feel that could also be just disguised as when you're asking the question, it's like, what is your intention for asking that question? Because then I feel that the pendulum could pick up like a negative force or a negative, not the most aligned from your highest good. So I guess it's like along the same lines. It's depending on what kind of vibration are you in, and what vibration are you putting into the pendulum.
Yeah, that's valid. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it's
Yeah.
like if you're asking more from an ego standpoint, then obviously you're gonna get what you want, or you can kind of mimic or dictate how that pendulum is gonna move because you just want the answer to be right, or you want
Mhm.
that answer to be specific. So
Right.
that's why it's good to either ask from a third person or to ask like, oh, is this in my like asking a very specific question from your highest good. And
Right.
then we're just removing that judgment of, hearing the answer that you don't want to hear, but that is your most aligned, you know, outcome.
Yeah, for sure. And so Anne also writes, it's hard when you know someone has an attachment as they totally change into a different person with hatred. So, Anne, you must be very much dealing with a specific case of this, and feel free to tell me more about what you're experiencing with this other person. But yeah, I mean, anybody who has a negative entity attachment, it can affect their personality. It can affect their personality so much that they can't hold down a job anymore because they're so distracted by the chatter that might be going on in their heads, or whatever the negative entity is doing to them. It can come in physical pain, emotional pain, mental confusion. I mean, there's just so many symptoms to it. So
Mhm.
it's that can be true, that it can definitely totally change someone into hatred, but it's not always the case. Like, every situation is completely different, and most of the time the thing that's displayed is something that they need to work through anyway. It's tying into something that they had as a child, or as again in an abusive relationship or work, or childhood traumas are all kinds of different things. Like, being teased at school can have a huge impact on the way you observe and see yourself. It's harder to love yourself unconditionally when people at a developing age, like a middle school age, tell you that you're horrible and ugly and whatever. You retain that, and so there's a lot to overcoming those sorts of experiences. Now I'm getting lots of questions here. Okay. So Carrie Ann says, how can you raise your vibration? I've been talking a lot. So do you want to answer her, Monica?
Sure. I like to raise my vibration actually by like dancing. So I'll put on some good music and just dance my way through it until I start actually feeling like something releasing from my body, or those stuck thoughts that I had about myself, I release them. Sometimes I go into nature, I'll go for a swim, or I'll go for a walk, or a run, just to go, kind of like, I guess clearing your head is like very similar to raising your vibration, because you're literally eliminating what is causing you to be at a lower vibration to then increase it. You can meditate, you can, eat a healthy meal, or even just drink tea or cacao, or be at a wholesome, like conversation with someone. So I also call raising your vibration is really just doing what you love or doing your passion. Because doing your passion, you're kind of going to get into that um, flow state of mind where you're able to let go and surrender to the moment and be present. So I feel like when you return to the present moment, that's when you're vibing almost at your highest, or at a way where then you can easily talk to your angels or talk to your spirit guides or talk to other multidimensional beings and your higher self. So raising your vibration, in summary, is doing what you love and doing what makes you happy.
Absolutely. I love that. So another way to look at it is, let's think about, is your higher self at a high vibration or a higher frequency? Ask yourself that. Is your higher self, is your soul self at a high frequency? And the answer is absolutely, it is at the highest possible frequency. There is no higher frequency available. Okay, so that means that the only thing that is at a lower frequency is your 3D self. It's this physical body. It's the emotions that you have burdened within you, tied into your childhood or your past lives or whatever, that you need to, if you want to, raise. So that means that the easiest way to do that is to set aside this 3D person and move into your higher self. And one of the great ways to do that, like Monica said, is to go into nature and to experience nature, because everything in nature is essentially at earth vibration, which is a very high vibration. So you're going to, it's going to rub off on you, right? But the other thing, as Monica was also saying, is that when you're in your head, your 3D head, your 3D mind is trying to solve problems. It's trying to help you survive. The survival mindset is actually a fairly low frequency. And so if you are constantly in the survival mindset, then you are not getting very close to that high frequency self. So the high frequency self, that higher self we were talking about, that being knows that it's infinite, knows that it's extremely powerful. It knows that everything happens exactly as it's supposed to. So when your 3D brain is in the way of knowing those things, that's where the frequency dips. So to understand that you are infinite, even though your 3D body will expire, your consciousness will not. It will carry on infinitely in the infinite now. And so that's one of the ways that I help people raise their frequency is to actually recognize that this 3D being that they are is essentially a tool that they are using to explore this world, and to, instead of looking at everything as happening here, to actually look at everything that's happening as this view from infinity, this source self, this higher self that has all of the information and knows absolutely everything that's going on, and to be able to start to look at the world through those eyes instead of through the hurt, damaged eyes of this 3D self. So let's see here. I'm going to catch up on some.
Was that the answer of how we can help release attachment from a loved one? Or
No, that was raising your vibration. So, okay. Yeah. So thank you for pointing that out to me. So how do we help release the attachment from a loved one? This is a great question. And it's very nuanced and complicated in some ways, because that they have domain over their energy field and their frequency. You don't really have the ability to change them unless they give you permission. You can make some changes, but most of the time you have a negative entity attachment for a reason. You have it because of all those things I was just mentioning. You have the childhood trauma or the abusive relationship or on and on. So that means that that person needs to overcome those sorts of issues to make it so that the entity doesn't have a vibrational match to attach to. So there's a lot that you can do for someone if they're willing. If they're not willing, if they don't understand this, if they don't believe any of this, then you're somewhat limited and they're on their own journey. And that is the best thing that you can do, is actually support them on their journey and always be there for them and always love them no matter what happens. That's probably my best advice in that situation. Now, if they're open to it, then send them my way and we'll get them through the Detach, which is the program that I offer to teach people how to remove negative entities themselves, how to really be in that higher mindset, that higher frequency, that higher vibrational mindset. So yeah, that's my best advice for those sorts of things. Thank you for that great question. And then Jane Bird didn't realize how abusive her last relationship was until she was in a healthy one. She still struggles with this trauma currently, but the love that she receives and gives in return is more powerful than it. Yay. And I am more powerful than it, she says. So that's fantastic. And I love that for everyone to really think about, because the love that she receives and gives in return, if you notice, is more powerful than the struggle, the trauma, and all that. And so by relying on that truth, that that you are a loving being and that you are loved, is a fantastic foundation and a platform upon which you can build the rest of your life. And this last point that she makes is, I am more powerful than it. Again, the trauma and all of that. And when you know that to be true at a deep level, then you know that you will eventually get there to where you want to be at maybe that higher frequency.
Yeah, that's totally, that's like really incredible for her to say it too, because a lot of people are always just stuck within their traumas until either it's like they realize themselves that knowing like, oh, I'm so much more than this, or this doesn't define me. I actually just painted one of my paintings about my journey or the energy that I had while I was in New Zealand. So I was in New Zealand when I was in 2016, and I was doing a backpacking trip. And at the time, I had one of my worst like injuries, that ankle injury that I had, where the pain was from my ankle all the way up to my brain. And so I wanted to be in nature, and I did like a 5-day backpacking thing where I had my big backpack, and I was walking like 16 or 14 kilometers each day, and then I camped out in my little tent. But like during the first like couple kilometers, like the weight of my backpack was just like, oh my God.
What have I done?
Yeah, it's like, I think within the first minute, I was just like, am I really about to do this? And it was like still like easy to turn back, but I didn't. But
Were you
during
with
that
a
time,
bunch of people or were you on your own?
no, I was on my own.
Well, that's amazing. Okay.
Yeah, I did
Yeah.
a solo thing. But there was, like, a bunch of people on the track, and, like, I was actually gonna have it be, like, a silent, like, hiking where I would, like, not talk, but everybody was so friendly, so I was just like, "Screw this, I'm just gonna say hi and then, like, be social." But during the whole walk, like, whenever that pain would be so dominant, I would ask the earth, be like, "Hey, earth, how can you help me right now? Can you please take away this pain, or can you please, like, help me through it?" And once I realized that talking in such a positive manner to myself, that pain slowly started going away. And I think within a couple of days, I'd started not even feeling that pain because I was just so immersed in my own love that I had for myself and learning about self love through the whole journey of the walk. And it's like I kept meeting people that were either helping me with like how to walk uphill and how to walk downhill. Like one guy was even like telling me like, "Oh, the next time you do this, you should just get a bunch of ramen noodles because they're just like very like lightweight." And I'm like, "Oh, I would have never known this." But
Right.
like it was like every corner that I turned, I was like almost like meeting an angel, like someone that was helping me through the journey of releasing this pain. And sometimes, you do need that support if you're going through like a negative entity or some sort of trauma. It's like other people are here. This projection that we're having is so that they can help you. Like, they're there for a reason. It's not there to see another body or to see another person around this world. It's like that person is really here to give you this really special message. And I always find like people are basically a mirror of your true self in a way. And it's like your true self is in this different form to help you realize, hey, you're going to learn about like how not to judge someone, or you're gonna learn how to accept someone today, or you're gonna learn how to love
Mhm.
this person.
Right.
And it's like each person is giving you this lesson to help raise your vibration. So maybe Anna Marie, if you're struggling with a loved one that has this, negative entity, like perhaps that's your lesson for more self-love or more things to do on your own that makes you happy. Because maybe you're so focused on helping them that you're forgetting to help yourself. And I feel like maybe if you start helping yourself or doing what you love, you might notice that that person isn't, that negative entity isn't that bad for that person. It's like maybe they need it. But you're already raising your own vibration that is so far above that negative entity that someone else has. So,
Right. Yeah. Awesome. So this question came through from Gentleman, and somebody else said here they're running into the same problem. But what do you do when dark practitioners are sending these entities daily? Okay. So I appreciate this question, Gentleman. And so what I would start with here is, who's more powerful when it comes to your energy field? Is it a dark practitioner or is it you? And it's a leading question, obviously, that it is always you. You have more power over your energy field, your domain, than anyone could ever have. And so the approach to this is simply to realize that. That's the first step, is to realize that, hey, I'm more powerful than that. Let me demonstrate this in my little square here that I have to demonstrate. You've often heard people say that you need to protect yourself from a special thing like a negative entity. So they teach you to put yourself in a bubble and to hide from negative entities, intentionally prevent them from entering your field. The problem with this is that if you notice, I'm doing this. So I've got my little energy field. I'm like, oh, these do not come through. I hope that they do not hurt me. I do not like them, etc. So this is a fear-based act. When you instead walk around, now I would make myself much bigger here and walk around, bring it on. These entities have no chance against me. They have no business being in my space, being in my field. I am way more powerful than they could ever be. That's at least the first step, is to get your mind into that place, because that is the truth. It is the absolute truth. It is a spiritual truth, and we've seen it over and over and over again. When you believe that the entity or the dark practitioner is more powerful than you, then you make that true. So but there are a lot of steps to this, actually, and that's why I have the program detached to help you remove yourself from that. So the program is not about just like, oh, I have one entity and I'm going to make it go away. The program is about anything negative that you do not want in your life, how to make it go away, including negative entities, including alien implants, including dark practitioners, or whatever you might experience and run into. It's all the same, and it's all about stepping into your power, raising your frequency, and knowing what that power is and how to use it.
question, what does she mean by dark practitioners?
So that would be somebody like you've heard of a witch or a Wicca or something like that, where they're doing black magic or dark magic
Oh,
to try to send things to you. What we find
oh, okay, okay.
in those sorts of cases is that, just like everything,
Mhm,
it isn't about them. It's not about the dark practitioner. It's not about the
mm,
entity. It's about the individuals having this happen to them. And again, once they get into that state of power, of that true realization, and use all the tools in the program and so forth, then they realize that, oh, okay, and they really deeply get it, that they don't even have to worry about that anymore. And that's the
mm,
beauty of it. It's not just removing them. It's a new way of life for them.
okay. I was thinking like she was going to a dark practitioner, and I was like, well,
Oh,
y
no,
yeah,
no,
no,
no.
no.
Well, and sometimes people will accidentally go to a dark practitioner, right? They don't
Yeah.
realize they're doing that, and then they end up having this problem. it goes on and on. There's just, every person has their own unique story. And that's what's
Mhm.
really beautiful and interesting, but it's also just a story. The true story is that you are a divine being of light who has come here intentionally, removing some of your power and removing your realization that you have it,
Mhm.
so that you can have this experience and take it seriously. So it's a reprogramming experience to realize, oh, wait, I am just as powerful as when I'm my higher self or when I am source. I just have to learn how to tap into that. And when you do, uh, the, the, the sky's the limit for your
Mhm.
future.
Okay, yeah, I was just, like, curious on that topic. I guess it's, like, more of, like, oh, like, that would be there's a word for it. It's almost like, I have this, but then I think that someone else gave it to me. So, I guess that could be the idea where the idea of a dark practitioner is like, "Oh, someone gave this to me in a way,"
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
As an
Yeah.
example, like a little tiny example. I'm just trying to, like,
Right.
pinpoint because I would've never thought of a dark practitioner, like, nowadays in a way. But
Right.
I guess
Right.
but I guess they could still exist.
Well, I mean, this whole thing with negative entities in the spirit world and all this is very foreign to most people. So they're going
Mm,
to associate it with something like a virus, right? That they're, oh no, I've got a negative entity. I don't want to go near my friend because I don't want it to rub off on them. I've had people talk to me about that sort of thing too.
mhm.
And you don't have to
And it
worry
doesn't
about
do
that.
it?
It's not really something that you pass on to someone else,
Mm,
unless in their soul contract they signed up for one, and in your
mhm.
soul contract you signed up to give them one, right? Like, so, right. And so it
Yeah.
is, it's possible, but it was going to happen whether
Mm,
you try to make it not happen or not. So you got to release that, with those worries, those fears, because those fears are what keep you at that lower frequency, again making you a vibrational match.
mhm. So, I guess if you had to summarize your course, obviously it's about detaching from negative entities, but say someone doesn't have a negative entity, but they wanna take your course, what would you sum up of the learning process be?
Yeah, I mean, really, that happens all the time. We don't always have people with negative entities. They could have negative energy, they could have depression, they could have PTSD. It's all the same sort of thing, because a negative entity is just a symptom of a larger problem. So what we're
Mhm,
doing is we're diving in deep and solving the larger problem, whether that be, again, a childhood trauma that needs to be released, a realization of who you are, how powerful you are, a realization of your mission, starting to discover your gifts. It just goes on and on. Understanding the human brain and why we have the desires and the lower vibrational and the higher vibrational emotions that we have. All of that helps us have an incredible, healthy life, no matter what we're coming into the program for.
mm,
So yeah, so I like what Anjali's saying here too, is focusing on dark entities and even what they are doing, finding out what the type they are, et cetera, just leaks my own precious energy to them, right? So I disagree with your own precious energy, because that makes it sound like you don't have an unlimited amount of energy, Anjali. So that would be the modification I would make to your statement. But otherwise, you're totally right. And anytime we do put a lot of energy into them, and do put a lot of thought into why did I get that, and what type of entity it is, and
mhm,
how do I make it go away? Oh, and when I did this, they went away for a day or two. Maybe I need to do that again, and blah blah. That is focusing on the entity, which again, you are a conduit of the universal energy, the unlimited energy of the universe that you have access to. So if you continue to put the universe's energy into a negative entity, then you're going to just keep it around. So it is about how you use your energy, but it's also that you don't have a limited amount of energy. You actually have unlimited, and you can set that. So that's an intention that I teach people to do. When you wake up in the morning, if you're tired during the day a lot, or you're tired after work or whatever, to just set the intention when you wake up, just say, today, I am going to pull from the unlimited energy resources of the universe rather than my own reserves. And then you'll be surprised. All you have to say is that you'll be surprised at how much energy you have and how you're not tired at the end of every day like you might have been. And you can go ahead and do a project or do something fun rather than just sit around and watch TV or whatever the situation that you're in. So, that's one of those things where we believe that the food energy that we consume and the sleep energy that we replenish every night is all we've got. But that is completely not true. And that's again stepping into your power to realize how much you actually have.
Yeah. Well, when I hear the word precious, I always think of Lord of the Rings, the ring, my precious. So,
Right.
so I guess like it's the same thing, because when you put on the ring, and then it's like then you have this like power. So it's like it's also limited. Like you only get it when you have the ring on. So
Right. Yeah. That's a funny and fun one, but I like it. It's totally true. It's how you're using your energy. If you believe that it's like that, then that's how it's going to happen. And Jenny, you're totally right. And Jenny Lynn, I'm probably just like smashing your name together, but when they are poking at your body and walking around your house, you are not focusing on them. I could totally see how you would be focusing on them. It would be very difficult to not focus on that. And so that's the other thing that we do in the program is we right away, we start to get that out of your hair so that you can do the work that you need to do in order to remove them. Because otherwise it's very challenging to do all the tools and to do all the practices and so forth that will make it so that they never return. So we have to do some work up front to keep them away from you so that you can do that work. The problem is, if you go to a practitioner who removes negative entities, they usually just do it once. They say, okay, give me $500 or whatever it is. And then they say, okay, it's gone, but then it comes back. That's why the program is so that you can actually get rid of it for life. Because obviously you don't want to have to keep going back to that practitioner over and over again. And what we find is that when you go back to that practitioner again and again and again, it almost seems like the amount of time that it's gone continues to reduce each time you go back to that person. So then you have to find someone else, and then it lasts long, and then you keep going back to them. And, think about the amount of money and time and effort that you're paying, when instead you could be focused on why the reason that you have a negative entity in the first place is because you put it on yourself as part of your soul contract. And so now you can have an incredible life if you do discover what your spiritual gifts are, discover what your mission is, and go into an awakening experience. They've done their job. They've made you do that. And now you're done with them, and you can go get on with the journey that you were destined to go on when you first came here.
yeah. Well, Anjali also says, also focusing on myself is raising the vibration, so you are not in the same frequency as them. So that's exactly what I was saying earlier, is that, when you really focus on, that self-love or that self-care, then, you're raising the vibration, so that way nobody else kind of affects you, or you're just vibing way above everyone. So then you learn to just accept them as they are, that this is just who this person is, and I'm not going to change my perception about them in order to feel better. It's like just full on surrendering that this is this person, this is their personality, and let me accept that this is who they are. And then if it doesn't match your frequency or it doesn't match your vibe, then either it's time for you to leave, or it's time for you to just know that you can keep loving yourself and knowing that they can't affect you.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. If you think about it, like you get a cold, you go, okay, this sucks. I've lost my energy. I can't sleep very well because my nose is all stuffed up and I'm coughing, or whatever your experience is. And you're like, oh, I can't go to work anymore. And so I'm stuck at home and blah, blah, whatever you're upset about. You get into that mode pretty easily. Like, oh no, it's here we go again. Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you also go, well, I know this is temporary. I know it's going to be like a couple of days, maybe a week at the most. and then I'm going to be back and everything's going to be fine. And I'm not going to die from this. I mean, some recent disease experiences have made people more afraid of this, but let's just call it a cold. And so you eventually just kind of go, well, I'm just going to settle into this. I'm not going to fight it. I'm going to, I'll take some medication maybe, or do some different things to you're going to rest more. You're not going to drink coffee, so you don't have caffeine that lowers your immune system, and you're not going to drink alcohol, whatever the things are that you're going to do, but you still settle into it and you go, well, this will be over. And as a result of that, I think that you get over it faster. If you were sitting there fighting it the whole time, being miserable about it, hey, it could last a lot longer, because what you resist persists. If you use that same approach to negative entities or whatever it is that you're suffering from, then you can shift into a deep knowing that, hey, this is not going to be my problem for life. I'm going to take Zane's class, or I'm going to do X and Y, and it's not going to be that problem anymore. And I know that it's going to be gone. I know it. So at that level of knowing, you have stepped into your true power. Yeah. Thanks, guys. This has been fun. You guys are asking lots of great questions. I appreciate it. Yeah. The bubble of white light. Absolutely. It is very mainstream, isn't it? So is the one where they say to put the salt on the windowsill and the door. I just love that one. I mean, it's just so ridiculous, because if you think about it, okay, so the negative entities are coming to your house, right? And they're like, let's get this person. And they get to the door, they go to the front door and they go, oh no, there's salt there. I can't pass through the door. Okay, let me try a window. Oh, there's salt there too. Well, gosh, I guess I got to go to somebody else's house, right? What? If we're talking about extra dimensional beings, the last thing they care about is whether there's salt anywhere. And even if they do, okay, well, they'll just move through the ceiling or a wall or the floor or just teleport. Like, why would we think that this would work? It's
Hey,
all
Zane, but I
about
live in a salt crystal. There's no corner that there isn't salt.
right, of course. So you're perfectly safe. Good job. Right? No, it's about what you believe. If you believe that the salt is going to work, then it will. If you believe that the exorcist is going to remove the entity, then it will. If you believe if you believe taking green paint and writing booga booga bunny bunny on your wall is going to make it so negative entities never attack you, then it will. And again, it's all about stepping into your power. I'm a repeated record here.
So, why did you think of booga booga bunny bunny? Where does that come from?
Okay, so glad you
want
asked
to know
that.
that story, because I was like, this is very clever, and there has to be a story behind it.
There is actually. Okay, so booga booga, there's no reason for. I just randomly came up with that. It was actually during one of my classes that I had a particular person in the class who I could tell was going to believe anything that I said, and I wanted to snap them out of it. So I made that up. Booga booga bunny 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 is the nickname that I give Jaybird. So I thought it was a fun callback
So we're
to that.
sprinkling Jaybird all over our house to ward off the negative entities.
Right.
She's got her little lightsaber and just like is zapping them away.
Yes, exactly. So that's where that came from. And it was funny, because when I said that, when I started saying, okay, you're going to get sea green paint and you're going to write this on the wall, the person who I thought would be fooled by this is writing it down saying, wait a minute, how do you spell that? Right at that moment. So
I know I saw you write it on the screen, booga booga bunny bunny.
Yeah, right. So
making it more official, like this is exactly how you need to write it.
Exactly. Yeah. And so then, of course, we got to laugh, and I think he learned a big lesson at that moment. So I wanted to share it to everybody. So, okay. Well, and actually, it was Bunny's idea that I put that in the video. I should give her credit for that. So why would your soul contract a negative entity? All right. Or negative energy. They don't even exist in the higher realms. Okay. Very good. Excellent question, Susanna. All right. So let's picture a possible scenario. you are defining your life experience before you come here. You're like, okay, well, I've got these spiritual gifts, I've got this mission, I've got all this stuff. But I know that as part of my experience, when I'm born, I forget all of this good information. I have no idea why I'm here. I'm completely confused. And I know that to be true about myself, my future self. So what am I going to do? I got to set up some stuff that will help me remember these things, that will help me jog my memory or help me get on the path that I want to be on in this particular existence. So what could we do? Oh, we could do a near-death experience. Okay, that would be good. Oh, we could do plant medicine experience. That would be good. Oh, we could do negative entities. Oh, yeah, that would probably be good. And then we could sign another soul contract with Zane or someone who's going to help me remove them and experience this and that. Okay, that seems like a good path. Whereas, our 3D minds would go, why would I ever do that? Like, that sounds terrible. Why would I be tortured by negative entities as part of my experience here? But actually, there's so many reasons for something like that. First of all, your higher self, you just said it, right? They don't even exist in the higher realms. So your higher self is kind of like, yeah, I'm sure I can handle that. I can handle anything. Oh, I might as well get into a horrible car accident and lose my hand or something to boot. I mean, it's just one experience out of the infinite number of experiences that I get to have, that I get to come to Earth and have all these possible things. Well, why not try them all? At first, maybe you'd say, okay, I want a really easy experience, or I want one that I'm really successful, or I'm the quarterback of the Super Bowl winning team. And eventually you go, well, okay, I've done all that. So now I need a challenge. I need something different. I want to try some other things. And so I call it soul confidence. You have this soul confidence that you can handle anything. So why wouldn't you go ahead and give yourself a difficult challenge and a negative entity that's going to help you essentially get yourself back on track?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm looking at Anjali's message here. Negative or near-death experience pushed me to find out even what the hell is going on, and my ascension path was expedited. Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean, mine was an ayahuasca experience. I grew up believing that none of this was real, that science was the true religion. And I was fine with that until I had that ayahuasca experience, and it completely changed everything. So thank goodness I signed up for that. Thanks, Nura.
Yeah, we all go through different ones. I think mine, when I was a teenager, it was definitely like my first like heartbreak that made me dive into more like reading about spirituality and like going down that route, and then finding self-love before I started like, dating again. So it's like everyone's is completely different. It could be tragic, or it could just be something minor, or it could, I mean, my heartbreak at the time was pretty major, but like still, it's like you can't really dictate what it's going to be until you really have that like spark of energy of like, oh, there's something more here. Oh, I know that there's something more than this feeling of being heartbroken. There's got to be something more than, this accent that I had, or these visions that I'm receiving from this plant medicine. So
yeah,
I think once you start receiving that knowing, that's when you really know you're one, on the right track, and two, that it's going to get easier when you do come to another accident or come to another life death experience type thing. You're going to be able to react differently, or know that, oh, okay, what am I supposed to learn from this right now?
Yep, absolutely. All right, so does anybody else have any other questions for us? We might end this one a little bit early today, but we'll keep it going if you guys have some questions. Yeah, so
where are you in the world, Zane?
Still in Orlando, Florida.
Right. Okay, I forgot about our beginning talk.
Right. Yes. Yeah, and so for anybody who's interested in the detached course, the next one starts really soon. It starts February 1st, and it runs for 7 weeks. So if you're interested in that, then you definitely want to check that out. I'll put a link to set up a call, and we can kind of talk about what's the right option for you, because there's a couple of different options. you can choose. Okay, so let's see. Nura is referencing why we create these hard lives and attachment, humbling and exactly here. Oh, excellent. Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things too. When we look at it as that we're a victim, then the type of experience that we have is a constant resistance to the negative. But actually, when you look at it and say, oh, okay, I set myself up for all this, okay, then I need to make the best of it rather than just, why me? I wish this wasn't happening to me, et cetera, et cetera. You can actually go ahead and take charge and change your life.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. And I don't see any more questions, so we might.
I think I feel like it's done.
I feel like we're done. So thanks, everybody. I appreciate it. And it was wonderful seeing all these good questions and your smiling faces. I look, yeah, in my mind, I saw your smiling faces. I look.
I was like, wow, you're giving me a compliment of my smile.
Yes, of course. Your smiling face is always beautiful for everyone to see.
Well, thank you, Anjali. Bye to you and bye to everyone else. Bye, Zane.
Bye, Anjali. Bye, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. See you next week.